The party in the midst of this shrine, mist still around you. There is a kitty cat sitting on the chest of Jasper, purring, lets out a soft little meow. Jasper, you are conscious once more. Yara and Marek, you are where you remember being, the creature flying off out of sight at this point. Hope has not stirred.
You know, I was never much of a cat person, but for you, little one, I'll make an exception. And you sort of just gently pat the cat's head, like a cat's look around, slowly crane himself upright, probably with a lot of groans and a lot of bruises. All right, stand off if you're still alive.
Still alive?
Still standing.
I believe Hope is injured, but alive. Go to his side, and even though I'm not great at medicine, attempt to check to see if I can... I cannot wake him back up. I'll probably just kind of gently shake him to see if that rouses him, and when it doesn't, I step aside and let someone more skilled take over.
Jasper's gonna take the cat in his arms, if it'll let him. Like, he's doing, like, you know, the gentle, like, you sitting here, like, as he sits upright, and he's just gonna walk over. Hey, little friend, you think you could, give our friend a hand here?
You were bleeding out at the time, but Yara, you already saw the cat apply healing to Hope in the same manner that it did to Jasper and Marek.
I believe the creature has already rendered its aid. I think he's just perhaps knocked out.
Oh, thank you, then. You've been most helpful. Just sort of scratch under his chin.
Oh yeah, it loves that. It tilts its head up at you and like it goes to like the angle pushing down against your finger. It looks like a Maine Coon, but it's the size of a house cat. However, it's got the body dimensions more like a weasel with the extended limbs and paws of a feline.
What are you, anyway?
I try a nature check to see if I recognize the animal. I believe it's a cat.
I worked on a farm for many years. I've seen many cats. I've never seen a cat like this. But, who am I going to complain about saving our lives? Can anyone tell me what happened? Because the last thing I saw, I was looking up at the tower, and then I genuinely don't remember a thing. Just pain, and admittedly, very welcome cat.
We were attacked.
There comes a rustling out from the underbrush. Can I get a perception check from everybody? Marek, you see first a large, hulking mass. It breaks through some underbrush, letting out a very soft... A woman, long, dark hair, hourglass shape, brilliant green eyes. Striding next to it, you see her stop and stay behind the tree line, hidden from view from the others. You're just at the perfect angle to view her. The bear comes waltzing out into the clearing, straight in the midst of your party. What do y'all do?
What's a fucking bear?
Moves back because he's not used to seeing creatures this large, and he does not trust this situation.
Marek still has his sword drawn, and he's very cautiously looking at this person because we will not survive if it comes to it, but he's not sure if this is safe. So but he's not going to hide. He's going to present himself to this person, battered and bloodied as he is.
The bear, for reference, the size of that broken cart that the horse kicked over, stumbles straight up to you, Marek, starts sniffing you before its tongue comes out, and begins licking the blood off of your body. Can I have a sense of motive from everyone? Jasper, you realize that this creature is incredibly docile, like a dog. It's the same energy that a farm dog would come to lick the blood off your hand when you just finished gelding a bull. Something like that.
Yeah, I feel like Jasper was going for his weapon, and then he sees the creature and how it's behaving. He just visibly relaxes. Well, very clearly, whatever it is, it's tame or friendly. That's good. Tame for something like this might not be the right term. Think you can all relax?
The bear sits down on its hind with its two legs splayed out, kind of like a person. And from the tree line, Marek, you can see the woman begin to walk out until she is just on the other side of the bear. In broken common, she says, I see you have met Pidlinosh?
Who are you?
Some call me Woman of the Wood. I would say I don't really have need for such titles, but Pidley Nosh never gave me name. This I go by. She doesn't look maybe a day older, like 31, 32.
And Pidley Nosh, our furry friend here, as he gestures to the bear.
She smiles, walks up to him, and puts her hands behind his ears and starts stroking him. He looks over at her. He's just got these super docile, kind of starry doe eyes as he looks at her like, that's my person.
You know what it was that attacked us?
I heard screaming. Yes, he's Piritan, creature of darkness. She nods.
Oh, I'm grateful you came when you did. I'm supposing you might be the reason it left.
I saw arrows sticking out of eye. Assumed. She looks over at Yara, pointing.
Or just kind of shrugs. She doesn't really know why it ran off either, but probably assumes it was either for self-preservation or because it heard the other people approaching.
She looks down at the ground, seeing Hope, and goes, tilting her head. What is wrong? He's not bleeding.
I look down at Hope. Good question.
Think he may have hit his head, perhaps.
Marec will say aloud, he's too deep in his own mind.
She looks to the three of you and then down to the young man. May I take a look? I am known to offer help for food.
Take a look.
She steps over, squats down with a leg on either side of Hope, just kind of nonchalantly, and then gets low, looks at him, tilts her head again, tilts her head the other way. She sees the wound that was dealt to him by the Piritan, and then she looks over to his arm that has been covered by his armor. It's mangled. It's quite chewed up from what the beast did the night before. How do you remove? She asks about the armor.
Marec will look over to Jasper.
Jasper is going to look at the little cat and just go, all right, see if you're willing to stand up here for a moment. He sort of puts him on his shoulder. Let me take a look. Not any armor I've seen, but I'm sure doffing it's relatively easy. The fighting style, I doubt he has this thing cinched up with rivets.
So, Jasper, as you get up, the cat does that thing that cats do when, like, the person that they're on top of gets up, where it's going to stretch out and, like, take its time. And then you notice that the front half of it disappears and the rest of it slowly follows. And Yara, you can feel a very subtle weight of maybe about like 5 to 6 pounds on your shoulder begin to form.
Do I actually see anything, or is it still invisible?
You turn your head and you see the cat. It's
hello there.
it gives you a nuzzle.
That's handy.
Don't get in the way of my bow.
It's just purring as it nuzzles you.
All right, I'm doing the thing. Jasper will doff the armor that Hope's wearing.
There's a spider web of black veins that leach in and out of his muscle that seem to be poisoned around these bites. You are familiar at this point with what it looks like when somebody has been artificially healed through means other than time and proper medical treatment. It's usually just scars of varying degree, like normal. This is not like that. The tissue looks blue, like corpse colored. It seems to stick down like meat that is rotting, still attached to a living form. The veins, you can almost see them struggling to pump this poison into the rest of his body.
Oh, Hope.
This is not good.
Oh, it is not. Not at all.
You were attacked by the deep-touched beast, weren't you?
He was mauled by another creature the other night. We were attacked by a separate one this morning.
She stands up. I have seen this before, but it is not something many come back for. She looks down at the young man, looks back up at you. I can help. I need you to do 2 things, and all will be done. The Piritan makes its nest in the ravine, perhaps 2 hours from here. I can tell you the direction. You must go there and kill it. Bring me its heart. I need a beast that has been influenced by the corruption that underlies this world to stave off what is happening to your friend, or he will have a fate worse than death. For this, she points. Pidley Nosh taught me many things, but climbing is not one. When you follow her hand, you can see that she's pointing inside the shrine, and now that you're closer to it, Marek, you can make out what you saw a few moments before the beast attacked. The eyes of the statue, of what you can tell, amber behind stone eyelids. Can I get a society check from Yara and Jasper and Marek? So you each recognize something a little bit differently. Marek, you remember that the elf that you came into contact with mentioned amber being one of the most sacred substances to their people, and you recognize this amber as having some holy significance to them. Yara, you've heard of shrines like this. You are familiar with why places like this are built. They are built to house the last droplets of blood that the God King of Man gave when he was slain, suspended forever in a substance that showed unity between man and elf for all time. Jasper, you have heard that these droplets are supposed to have miraculous power, that it is unique to the circumstance what they can do, but that most of them have been rounded up in ages long past and are on display only in temples throughout the northern, southern kingdoms and Alabastria itself. So she explains that she needs you to kill the Paraiton, get its heart, bring it to her, and that she's going to need one of those things.
Marek will start climbing up the statue to pull it down.
Okay, athletics, please. Beautiful. Not just a success, but a critical success. You clamber your way up this statue, and you get yourself a perfect positioning with your legs wrapped around the God King's shoulders, whatever utensil you're going to use to pry these things out, and quite irreverently, your junk in his mouth region.
I'm topping the God King, guys.
Maybe we should give him some privacy while he's doing this.
I have a dagger that I'm using to pry this thing out. Marek has no regard for man or God.
Oh yeah. You're gonna get a circumstantial +2 on this. You find that the stone that is around this amber does not yield to this dagger, and you chip the edge of your blade.
Well, yeah, I do have a grappling hook.
I'm listening.
But I try to hook the grappling hook into the eye socket and use that to pop it out.
Okay. Oh, that's another critical success. You pull the grappling hook out of your bag, stick it into the face of the statue, clamber down off of it, and heave with all of your might. The face of the statue breaks off, falls 25 feet down, and crashes into the ground at your feet. The whole face, basically, but 2 of the stones have come free.
You'll pick them up.
The first thing that you notice, Marek, is the brilliant scarlet that is held within. The crimson looks like a drop that is not just suspended in amber, but like suspended in time. Like the moment that it was dropped into the substance, it went down just a hair's breadth, and it is trapped in that. It feels like you should be able to slosh it around and it should move on the inside, but it stays firm. It's not painful, but the electricity that you can feel moving down your arm seems to be, it's like trying to hold on to a live wire that is just below painful. Like you're buzzing, but you just got done with a fight for your life wherein you almost died, so you should feel exhausted. But just holding on to this thing, it's like something's blowing into you.
How many of these do you need?
To save your friend? She holds up a hand. I only need the one.
He pockets the other.
I need to get Piddly back. I would tell you to be careful, but I think you already know what is out here, so maybe don't leave him alone. I will be back tomorrow.
I hate to intrude, but would you be willing to maybe take him with you, perhaps?
She shakes her head like, no, I'm very sorry. I do not think he would survive the trip.
What about on horseback? And he looks over at Bessie.
Is more manner of where bears make home not good for. She looks like kind of unsure for a moment. You think that maybe you could guilt her into staying for the night, at least to watch over him?
Could I attempt a diplomacy roll to that effect? I feel like Jasper says, no, it's probably an inconvenience, but we're going to go and hunt this creature. How dangerous it is. We're already injured and kind of threadbare. I don't trust our ability to hunt this and protect Hope. Would you please be willing to stay one night?
She looks to the state of Hope again, and this look of like, Poor thing crosses her face and looks over to Piddly Nosh. What do you think, Piddly? Would we stay? Okay, I stay. But one of you stay with me. I not stay out here with Piddly Nosh. Getting to be old bear. Not safe alone in these parts at night.
I'll stay with you.
She nods her head, smiles at you, Yara, like, very good. You shall teach me how you braid your hair like this. I only know this way.
Yara's just like, oh no, I've been roped into girl time. You've been needing light in your journey.
It live in cave, so probably good to bring torch.
Yara will take a torch out of her pack and see her turn around and look as if she's about to light it with a flint, but then she just kind of waves her hand over it and a very bright white flame appears. You know, from afar it would probably pass as just a regular flame, but if you look at it closely, you can tell there's something a little off about it. It's giving off far more light than a traditional torch would.
Above table, we have, between all of us, enough hit points to take a single dagger from a well-working out commoner. I think this is a great idea. Let's do it.
Hey, this is what it's all about, man.
Look, I mean, the alternative is nothing.
Yeah, no.
We don't have one.
Look, this is Omni dealing with the anxiety of going out into battle with less than 1/4 of my hit points. This is how I handle.
Look, it's going to be easy. We just can't get hit.
I don't die for hope, you know.
I feel like as Jasper's getting cinched up and ready to go, he's going to turn to Marek and hand him a healing potion. I have 2 on my person.
Marek will immediately uncork it and down it right now.
I will do the same.
You heal for the maximum amount that it can heal. You're not in combat. You also have that numbing tonic, which I don't know if you know how that works, but it gives you 2 temporary hit points at the start of each round. Those don't stack. It means that you will get 2 temporary hit points again every round. So, following the heading that the Woman of the Wood gave you, can I please get a survival check from one of you to determine how long it's going to take you to get there?
That's you.
Are you sure about that?
I'm at 0. It's you.
Does not inspire confidence. I will take a 16.
It is not too long before Marek is able to locate the river of which the woman speaks, and then it is just a matter of time before you follow that to the mouth of this ravine. Shoutouts to Birdie Maps, one of our sponsors for Mortal Coil. Thank you very much for letting us use this beautiful work of art that you have made. I look forward to using more in the future. They are already pre-made, so if you use Foundry, folks, you can download the .vtt file and just plug that in via the universal map browser. It loads everything in with all the walls, the lighting, literally everything done. I'm telling you, it's phenomenal. Check them out. Thank you, Birdie Maps. Thank you. We love you. We appreciate you, homie. Marec and Jasper, you arrive to the outside of this cavern system. There is a large river that is running off to the east of you. You are facing the south. What do you do?
I wasn't here when you dealt with this last time. What should I expect besides the sweet release of unconsciousness?
Wings, fangs, talons, claws. It's fast. It hurts.
Sounds wonderful. As he steps forward and saying this, I just can't stand the idea that something can knock me out so swiftly. I get it. Combat. Random things. But I prefer to go down with my eyes open, if that makes sense. It's just maddening.
Above the table, the GM apologizes.
Above the table, the actual player loves to bitch, so you're good.
Above table, I'd like to come around this way here, as opposed to just going down this other main path.
All right.
Jasper's going to be actively doing his best to sort of scan the area as he's going in, towards drawn. He's on alert.
Can I get perception checks from both of you? You both hear what you assume to be cave wind whistling out of the cavern's mouth about 40 feet above you. But Jasper, you are able to make out that this is not just cave wind. It sounds like the laughter of some kind of creature.
Before we go any further, Jasper's just going to take the flat of his blade and just pat Marek on his shoulder. Sort of gesture to his ear, pointing to the cave, basically telling him, hey, listen closer.
Marek nods, and I would like to try to quietly hop up onto this area here.
Okay. That is going to require 2 successful climb checks.
First check.
That is a success.
Second check.
That is not a critical failure, so you don't fall, but you only move up 5 feet. So, one more. You make it to the lip.
Can I pull myself up and see what's up here?
Lifting yourself up the lip, you can see roots that seem to be growing out of whatever plants might be on the exterior. An old cobblestone path that goes through here, but Marek, you've lived in the wilds for your whole life. There's nothing too outside of the ordinary of random roads, just being in places that you wouldn't necessarily expect. What you do see from here is some glowing gemstones sticking out of the walls. The laughter, it carries over the stone, and you can definitely hear it now.
I have 50 feet of rope in my pack. I'm going to toss a length down to Jasper and help him climb up before I proceed.
So glad you offered. I could probably climb up, but I was hoping you...
Okay. Circumstantial bonus of +4. Between Marek pulling the rope and you pulling yourself up the rope, you have made your way halfway up. Can I get a perception check from you, Marek? Over the laughter, for just a moment, you can hear the sound of a deep growl. When you turn, you can see the image of a large quadrupedal beast walking further back into the cave, directly down the southern passage. Can you get another athletics check, please? Teamwork, as always, makes the dream work, and in Pathfinder, it is no exception. Jasper, you are heaved up through your own strength and lent strength of your friend into the cave. What do y'all do?
Unless you call for initiative and we're in the thick of things, I'm whispering.
There, same.
I'm going to point down the southern passage and say, there's something down that way. Stay quiet. And I would like to quietly move down that hallway.
Jasper will follow behind, blades drawn.
I'm going to draw a torch. I'm not going to light it yet.
So the one that's still glowing with that white light that gives off no heat is in your backpack?
That one's stowed in my backpack. But I think these things don't fear light. I think they fear fire. And I am going to have a torch and flint and steel ready to go before we get into the fight. I'm still using a Hawk's short sword as well, ready to go just in case.
Jasper has both his blades, but I think he's going to, seeing the torch come out, he's going to think about it. And Jasper's fighting style is very much built around fighting with two swords. Like, taking out a torch would basically be severely hobbling. You know, so instead he has to think about it for a second. And he's going to take his rope, and he's going to wrap it around one of his swords, tie it off. And if he needs to, he'll use Marek's torch to light the rope. It won't last long, but it might give him an edge. Especially if the thing we're dealing with is afraid of fire.
Cool. I like that. That's smart. I appreciate the ingenuity.
Having done that, he's going to follow after.
Can I get stealth rolls from you two, please?
Marek drops into a low squat and basically solid snakes his way up the way, and he is going to hug the wall here.
Jasper is going to be following pretty close behind. He's going to be, as opposed to crouching, he's leaned up against the wall with his swords drawn. He doesn't want to, crouching with those is not convenient to strike and lash out. So he is literally going to stay about 5 feet behind you at most.
As a technical question, GM, are these vines along the wall, are these like thick bushes that would be difficult terrain? Are those spines to scale?
Yes, that is roots that are growing through the ground, and some of them seem to have thorned type of protections built into them, as if they are adapted for growing out of the depths of caverns. Marek, can I have a reflex saving throw from you, please? Oh, that's really good. Okay. You step down on what you think is just a piece of lichen growth coming off of one of these roots, and then you hear it hiss, and as it strikes out, you move your foot back just in time for a viper to hit the ground where your foot was. It hisses again before slithering off into the crystalline growth back into its home.
He looks back to Jasper, shrugs, keeps moving forward.
Jasper's going to start looking behind us as we're walking, just in case this thing tries to creep around. But he will follow as well. I figure he's got kind of like a kind of look as he walks around the serpent, giving it a nice wide berth.
Can I stop here and try to tell where the animalistic groaning or the laughing is coming from?
Certainly. Please give me a perception check.
Hey, that's pretty good.
That is pretty good. You can hear that it is coming from the south, further in the cavern.
Gotcha. Continue going down that way. Okay, there's a corner here. I want to peek into this little outlet here.
You can see a skeleton that is pinned down by rocks. Its rictus grin, melded with the metal from an age long past, glares at you from the darkness.
Sleep well. Okay, slowing down, another corner. What are these? Are these mushrooms, these white growths here?
They look like some type of fungus, yes.
I would like to avoid those. I'm going to gingerly walk around.
Taking care to not walk directly next to them, I'm guessing.
Jasper's gonna peer this way, by the way, as he's walking past. He just wants to see if he can see what's going on in there. Latrine history will do.
Sure. There are many saints in the pantheon of men. We, in the real world, would view like minor deities and like the Greek pantheon, stuff like that. That's how saints are held. It is possible for a person to become a saint if they die and they accomplished something wonderful or represented one of the 7 virtues well enough for the gods to take note. What you see before you is a shrine to one such saint. It was erected in the same fashion that one would make a statue to the knight. He's not a war god. He is more of a protection god, sticking up for people that can't protect themselves. He has his own spire in Avalon, which means he's like one of the big 7 gods for men.
Like Jasper just sort of down the hallway. Think about that skeleton quietly under his breath. For all the good you did him, you watch over us. Seeing that the chamber is empty and there's nothing else in there besides that big statue, anything else we need to worry about or any passages?
Give me a perception check, the both of you.
Gladly.
Marec, you see a journal that is sitting on its last page, open on a pew. Jasper, you see what looks like a compass about the size of the palm of your hand sitting on the other side of it. It seems to not just catch the light, but hold a light of its own.
Jasper's gonna make a note of that. He's gonna sort of look over at Marec and just be like, gesture down there, and again, whispering, say, watch me for a moment. I want to take a look at that. Gonna go over to the journal and the compass.
The journal is faded and there's very little remaining of the ink that was left on it, but what you can see seems to have some air of light to it. The air tastes just different when you're standing right here next to it. A little bit like honey and rich vellum, a slight scent of mahogany. You gaze upon the words and it says, I go now to be with my wife. May the gods let me rest with her evermore. Whomever finds this, be ye a servant of the gods. Whisper the 7 virtues and receive thine path.
What's that supposed to? He's going to pause and think on it a little bit. And as he does, he's going to look over at the compass, take a closer look at it now that he's right up on it.
You pick up this compass, and it is sealed with a complete solid piece of gold. Wherever the dial on it that would actually indicate where you're supposed to go, because you can't see it, you assume it's probably inside of a clasp, but you can't see a seam where any clasp would open.
He's going to take it and put it in his pack. You'll look at that later. The last thing he wants to do is fiddle around with some strange thing and, you know, have it blow off or give off some crazy whistle or do some incredibly loud thing that gives him away. At the moment, sneaking is paramount. He's going to return back to Marec, and he's probably going to pocket the journal too, I think.
Once you put your hands on it, just that page is left. Everything about the journal except that last page crumples to ash.
Just going to gently roll that up and put it in his pack then. Nothing like a little failed archaeology experiment. And as he goes back over to Marec, he's gonna sort of lean in and go, I think that's everything, but the book says something about whisper the 7 virtues and find your path. It's obviously a riddle. I think it might be a riddle. There's some mechanism in.
I'm just here to kill the beasts so we can save Hope. Let's keep moving.
Yes, you're right. Plenty of time for exploring after this. Again, he's looking behind him as we're moving forward just to make sure.
I'm going to take this passage here.
The sound of the laughing is beginning to get louder. You're starting to be able to make out definition, almost unending. Marec, you come upon a broken camp. All the makings of what would have been a place to hole up for a little bit for any number of bandits or vagabonds or agrestics that live outside of the realms of standard society for mankind. But what you can see is not a person in sight, not even something that would indicate that people are here other than the details of a life.
Jasper's going to whisper to Marek. I think this is the camp that belonged to the man who wrote the book. Something about this is the path he chose. Careful. A lot of people apparently died here.
Let's not add to that number.
The sound of the river is getting louder to the point where it is almost overwhelming. It's almost impossible to hear the laughter over the river, as if the two run simultaneous. Pieces of rock glimmer next to you, Marek. Not the same crystal that grows from the ground, but some unrefined ore.
Does this look like mining equipment?
It absolutely does. And the laughter is louder than ever before.
I'm gonna stop when I see these symbols here.
Give me an occultism check.
Damn.
Marek has seen some shit. I think that's my first natural 20 of the game.
Marek is not versed in the occult in the same manner that a magician or a practitioner of the arcane is, but he has been around enough of those that are in the times that he spent in the agrestic tribes as to recognize symbols of those that live apart from society employ their own imbuement of will upon the universe, different from that of those who pray to the gods for their miracles, different than those who study arcane knowledge to invoke different effects, and even different than that of those who bond with nature and through that bond channel unfettered life. Marek, you recognize these symbols because the dark gods that the agrestic folk of Illyria worship mar the brains of those that bear witness to them in a way that they can never truly forget. Even without understanding it, you know you've seen these before, and you know that these are symbols of protection.
Protection from what?
There are some things that even those gods fear.
He takes a step closer to them, and he turns back to Jasper. Whatever gods you enjoy, start praying to them.
Oh, I wish I could be comforted by gods.
You cross the threshold. The room's softly lit by these crystalline growths that seem to be protruding from the walls. There is a chest directly next to Marek along the northern wall. A bundle of cloth heaped up on the bed, turned away from you, and a large brown and black spotted beast, Marek, that you recognize as having been the same one that you saw when you entered this cave. It is standing on all fours. It's not trying to look for a fight, but it is giving you the threatening sounds of buck around and find out. The sound of the laughter is coming from this room, and you are close enough to guess it is coming from that bundle of cloth on the bed.
Well, I have a torch out. I have flint and steel. Light.
Instantly, the laughter ceases and becomes a roar of frustration. The carrion beast howls in pain at the sudden spark of flame in its vicinity, turns away from you, and puts both of its paws over its eyes on the ground. The figure in the rags rushes out of the bed and holding up a hand over his eyes. Can I get a perception check from the two of you? Jasper, you're not able to get a good look at this person, but Marek, you see something really strange about them. They have this glowing eye that is milky white, but catches the firelight in this glint of green that is uncanny. But that is the least uncanny thing about this person, Marek. Their flesh is covered in this russet brown fur with spots of black that in irregular patterns splotch down and underneath the raggedy clothes that you see them wearing. Their face itself looks more that of a beast than a man. A large snout with a jaw that has an underbite and toothy maw. They look nothing like the Urk, what few you might have seen in your life. It's hard to understand them, but you can understand that they have a very decent control over the common tongue. You hear the words.
How would you like it if I came into your house and started messing with your things?
What the fuck are you? And I hold the torch back for Jasper to light his sword.
Can I get occultism checks from the two of you? Jasper, you are familiar with religions outside of the normal pantheon of man, wherein people make deals with different entities. What you were taught to call them was dark gods. And it looks to you like this is a person that has made a deal in some way, shape, or form with a dark god and is forever marred by that pact.
I believe we are seeing someone who has made a major life decision with long-lasting effects. I believe that is the most courteous way to say it. Would you not agree? As he says that to, like, the creature in front of him.
Heresy is what it is called in your tongue.
Yes, well, to call it that, you'd have to have some stake.
He gives you this very amused expression, which even despite his very different appearance, he's very amused by you saying that. He like takes a step back and he's still got his hand up in front of the light, but he's like tilts his head.
Now, what would you know of stake, young one?
Enough to know that I don't place my faith in anything that lets people die when they can enter. Simple as.
We all die. It is only a matter of time. What matters is what we do with the time we have.
And you spent yours down here.
Uzas, the hermit, at your service. Wouldn't be a very good hermit if I spent my time anywhere else.
I'm going to be brief. We need something. I have a feeling you know where it is. Our friend was attacked, and we need the heart of a beast.
Yes, I know what you seek. The Brighton, yes. The other side of the river. You might take it while its guard is down.
Thank you, comrade. I appreciate your assistance.
Might I offer trade?
He snaps his fingers, and the chest next to you opens up like a wardrobe, extending outwards, and the handles morph into teeth. A large tongue lashes out from between the underside, smacking it open until fractally it unfolds, and a myriad of wares is displayed. All manner of vials containing various colors, different weapons, some types of small, square, diamond-shaped runes. They don't make sense, but you can feel some latent sort of resonant something in it. It seems to tingle when you touch it, Jasper.
Certainly think we could use some more. I hate to inquire. It must seem rather, banal, but you'd be willing to accept gold.
I have little use for it other than trading for what I might need. I prefer you have some sort of trinket or other meaningful bauble, but if all you bring is gold, I will take your gold.
He nods.
Marec will draw his greatsword, and I think that there is probably a pause and a palpable moment where neither Uzas nor Jasper really knows what Marec is going to do.
The hound behind him, the carrion beast, stands up and, like, a growl low in its throat begins building.
What for this?
He looks over the weapon, kind of tilts his head.
Borstock.
That green glow to his eye winks, and he looks up and down the blade, offering his hands as if to ask if he might hold it.
He will, just holding it out in front of him.
Gingerly, he takes the weapon from you.
A plain weapon, but I see its past. A betrayal, a blood-soaked history. This was before it ever came into your hands. Such a trinket.
He does this audible click with his jaw, and it dawns on you that he might be able to level as much bite force with that as the carrion beast behind him with its own. He thinks for a moment.
Most of my life has been spent knee-deep in blood. It doesn't surprise me that this is any different.
What does it mean to you?
He offers you the sword's hilt again.
I take it back. It means strength.
That glint of green is leveled at you, Marek, and you can feel it boring through your eyes, looking directly at you. He says,
I sense great strength to be found within you. And so, I offer an accord. Slay this Periton. Give to me its remaining eye, and I will teach you great many things, and you will bear none of their burdens.
You have a deal.